Shalom, this is Joseph Shulam. I'm speaking from Jerusalem, from Nativia Bible Instruction Ministries, and we are continuing our study of the parables of Yeshua. We're studying the parables in the context of the time and the place and the Jewish world of the first century as much as we can, in order to understand not only what we want to understand, but what the parable themselves meant in the first century, what Yeshua was trying to communicate through the parables for his listeners. We already said that each parable has a secret in it. Otherwise there's no need for the parable. The parable is a way of saying things that are hard to say in a way that they can be palatable, that they can be understood by the people that need to understand them. That's why they use these short, pithy, sometimes humorous, and always stories with a hidden meaning in them. I want to share with you, before we get into the parables, one verse from the writer of the book of Hebrews. Book of Hebrews chapter 11 verse 6 says something that is very, very basic, foundational to both Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. It's foundational to any kind of monotheistic faith. And here it comes, Hebrews chapter 11 verse 6. And without faith it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he is a rewarder to those who earnestly seek him. Now that several things in this verse that are foundational. First of all, if you come to God, you must believe that he exists. If you don't know that he exists, there's nothing for you to seek in God. You could worship any idol, but the God who gave us the Bible, and he is the one who sent Yeshua to the world to redeem us, is a God that exists. Not only does he exist, but he made everything else to exist. Everything that we see is the work of God, which he spoke into existence. And so there's no point to believe in God, to go to church, to go to synagogue, to be religious, without believing that there is God, exists, a real God, divine, master of the universe, creator of everything that we have and we see and we experience, and even the things that we don't see. That's the first thing that this text says. The second thing it says, he must believe not only that he exists, but that he is a rewarder of everyone who genuinely seeks him. That's a very, very important point. Because here we are human beings bound by our time and space and flesh and illness and weakness and getting old and all kinds of boundaries and limitations on our lives. None of us can fly like a bird, and none of us can transcend our time and space. So we must believe that whatever we do, however we live, whatever we think, is all a part of our desire, our need, our conviction that there is a reward for doing good, that there is a reward for being right, for doing God's will. We will be rewarded. When we seek God, we will be rewarded. Even if we're crippled and unable to do much physically, just seeking God with our soul, with our mind, with our life, with our love, it's already enough to be rewarded. This issue is a key issue in the book of Hebrews. And of course, our rabbis dealt with this issue in different ways. And we could bring tons and tons of material, but I'm going to limit myself to one of the first tractates of the Mishnah, which is Pirkei Avot, the sayings of the fathers. And in Pirkei Avot we find several different statements dealing with reward. The first statement that I want to read from you is from chapter 1, from a guy who lived 108 years before Yeshua, before the New Testament. A guy by the name of Antigonus of Socho. Socho is a town not far from where David killed Goliath. So Antigonus of Socho received the Torah from Simon the righteous. He used to say, "Be not like a servant who ministers unto his master for the sake of receiving a reward, but be like a servant who serves their masters not upon the condition of receiving a reward, and let the fear of heaven be upon you." So we have here this statement of Antigonus from Socho, who says, don't serve your master only to receive a reward, but serve your master because that's the right thing to do. And let the fear of heaven guide you to serve. It's interesting that we've had several non-Jewish nurses from Finland in Israel. And these nurses worked in several of the hospitals, and I heard that sometimes when great rabbis got ill, went to the hospital, they asked for these non-Jewish nurses to come and serve them, because they said they're not working for the salary, they're doing it because they're volunteers out of love for Israel. And their service is always much more cordial and gentle and pleasing than those who work only to get a salary. This is true for anything we do, teachers and everything else. If you really work because you love what you do, you'll do a better job. If you only work to get the pay, you will do a less better job, to say it this way. There's another statement that I want to get into before we mention some of the things in the New Testament, also from Mishnah Pirkei Avot, from chapter 2. Read the end of chapter 2 of Mishnah Pirkei Avot. Rabbi Eliezer said, "Be eager to study the Torah. Know what to respond the Apicorus, the heretic. Know before whom you toil, and who is your employer, who shall pay you the reward of your labor." Rabbi Tarfon said, "The day is short, the task is great, the laborers are lazy, the wager is abundant, and the master is urgent." He's in a hurry, in other words. This Rabbi Tarfon is the same Rabbi Tarfon that argued and had a discussion, a dialogue with Justin Martyr. Famous dialogue between Justin Martyr and Trypho. Trypho is this same Rabbi Tarfon that is quoted here in the Mishnah, lived around 150 AD. So, one more statement, the last passage of chapter 2. He used to say, "It is not incumbent upon you to finish the task, yet you are not free to desist from it. If you have studied much in the Torah, much reward will be given to you. For faithful is your employer who shall pay you the reward of your labor. And know that the reward of the righteous shall be in the time to come."